All right.
Maybe.
So I'm here with Bill Jones. And so, Bill, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are?
Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Coach Bill Jones, fitness coach. I've coached everything from general fat loss and health to triathlons, bodybuilders, professional athletes. I do nutrition, cardio plans, you name it. So I've done a lot of different things. Um, I had a TV segment back at our news before it became Spectrum, and I used to do fitness tips on there for a few years. College speeches, Special Olympics advisory coach, et cetera, et cetera. So been coaching a long time. And I'm looking forward to offering some help on goal setting.
Totally. Yeah, because so I'm really curious because of your extensive experience and because I know the goals that you work on with people, are pretty, I guess I would say they can get pretty extreme. And so I know you encounter a lot of like resistance and
Sure.
so I thought you'd be a perfect person to dive into with some of that stuff. But yeah, I guess first we can maybe talk about, like I said, like the foundations of goal setting, like because the main thing about goals is we want them to be achievable and sustainable. So I'm guessing you probably maybe talk about that.
So I think from my experience as a coach, people come to me, they say they have a goal, through talking and evaluating them, what do you want to accomplish?
Yeah.
I think most people don't realize what they call a goal is really behaving like a wish.
Mm.
And I say that because they'll say, I wish I looked like that person, or I wish I had the body of so and so, or I wish I could climb a mountain, or I wish I had a lot of money. So the distinction between, are you hoping something happens, or are you willing to do something to make something happen? So wish versus goal, right? So as a coach, my job sometimes is to help identify, well, what are you looking at? What is that thing that you call a goal? Wishes often come with inaction, right?
Yeah.
There's no action. There's
Yeah.
no action required to say, boy, if I could just get in shape and look like her or him, or I wish I had a lot of money. So goals are very loosey-goosey. They're undefined. They don't have a lot of structure to them and as far as steps to achieve this so-called goal.
Yeah.
And they're unorganized, and they don't require anything really from you other than just this idea.
Yeah.
So when you jump to an actual goal, goals typically when somebody comes in and they have a goal that's a real goal, they're focused. They can articulate what that is, and it should be defined as specifically as possible. So let's say I want to run a marathon. Say I want to run a marathon. I know that I got to do a lot of training. I know my nutrition's got to get better. I know I need someone to guide me. Those are defined things that person's put thought into to say, okay, I know there's some things I got to do, and these are things I know I got to do. I need help to do that.
Yeah.
A goal is clearly defined, and it's going to take action.
Yeah.
Defined action. And the clearer you can make that goal, the better. So you want to run a marathon. Have you ever run one? No. Do you just want to finish and feel good? Do you want to run a specific time? Do you want to beat all the other women that you're up against, all the other men, et cetera? So the more you can define there, the better the outcome could potentially be, because your training and preparation could be better, right?
Yeah.
So and goals don't, I'm a physical coach, but really it could be money. It could be a relationship goal.
Yep.
The clearer you can define what that looks like, the better, right? So my job when people come in is to say, okay, so we've done that. So wish versus goal. So I get them off the wish list. Like we start defining a goal. We make it kind of clear. Then we say, realistically, given where you're at, is that goal achievable? Or is it back to being a wish?
Gotcha.
Or what do we need to do to make it achievable? So the steps needed, so, hey, there's a marathon in 4 months. I don't run. I haven't run in 6 years. Is that realistic for us
Right.
to get there? We need to talk about that, identify,
Yeah.
right? So sometimes goals may be not realistic for your idea.
Yeah.
You have to define that too, right? So, and then within a goal, you should have timetables. Give yourself time checks, time
Hmm.
bound. It should be related to a time. So, I got to find a coach to help me run a marathon. I'm going to give myself 30 days to do that. So I got to take some action and make some calls.
Yeah.
I'm holding myself accountable by putting some timelines on, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is critical because, we talked about this a little while ago. Before I jump to that, the last thing about goals that I say, it has to be relevant to your values. So does it fit in with what I believe in my life? Am I willing to, back to a wish? I wish I could date that person. That person may not be anything good for us. Does it align
Right.
with our values? So does this physical goal, monetary goal, I got to work 3 jobs to get that money that I want to buy that house, does that all fit in with my values and things like that? So there's some value reflection needed to say, is this goal good for me and how I live my life?
Yeah.
But then jumping back to, we talked about this earlier, is especially the holidays.
Hmm.
It becomes a wish again. Like, oh, I want to do it, but it's not a good time. It's too much money. It's if I could just get here, then I'll be ready. If I
Yeah.
can just get to this date, then things will be okay.
Yeah.
You'll never be ready.
No. Yeah.
You and I
Exactly.
have launched businesses, and you start out thinking, I got to get all this stuff before I
Hmm.
can go live. And I
Yeah.
know a lot of coaches and trainers and therapists may be the same way. Is when you start, you're afraid to start because you're like, well, what if I screw this up? And I don't know. You'll never be.
Right.
Goals require action. Pull the trigger and start. And you can
Yeah.
adjust goals as you go, as they work out or don't work out. So
Yeah.
I think wishes and excuses go hand in hand, that people often call a goal.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you think about those things, but that's when I talk about goals and wishes, I try to decide, well, which one is it? And then those things I talked about have to be kind of considered in goal planning, goal setting.
Yeah.
And I think the final piece is, if somebody works with you, somebody works with me, do we work?
Right.
You got to find someone that you feel comfortable enough to communicate with, because our job isn't to fluff.
Yes.
We fluff it sometimes. But our job is really to say, listen, your goal requires a lot of hard stuff, sacrifice, timelines, etc. I'm here to kind of help you keep accountable for that and push you
Right.
through that. That's the difference between hiring someone that's going to push you to your dream or help get you to your dreams, and wanting someone to drag you to your dream.
Right.
I often say, I will cheer you on, motivate you, support you, but I won't drag you to your goal.
Yep.
You've got to really understand what you want. And that goes back to that clarifying, what is this goal?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Do you find, well, so, and I like how you say too, like, I feel like we're always like coming back and refining and refining, and like you said, we only know what we know, which I know
Right.
sounds like a stupid statement. So even if you, sorry, it might be a little loud, think about your values, right? Like you're saying, and you're like, well, I think these are my values, and I think this is my goal. And even if you get it clearly defined, and then you're along the path, then you might realize, wait a minute, this doesn't feel like it's matching, or it's not what I thought it was going to be, or I, and there could be a lot of reasons for that. But like, I'm thinking about my accountability group, and one of the girls in there, like after a week, I think she's having some sort of reflection of, you know what, I think those aren't as important as I thought, and these other things over here are more important. And then it requires us to kind of like look back and reassess. And some of it could be like a sabotage behavior, right?
I see that.
Um, but also there's often some sort of truth to it as well. So I think so I'm curious, my question, and kind of rambling, is do you find that you need to like kind of like go back a lot with getting grounded in what the goal is again?
Yeah, quite often, actually. I would say it's more the norm today than it isn't.
Yeah.
Um, so, professional athletes are a different mindset than average people.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Totally.
So if we're talking about the average person that wants to drop body fat, get stronger, look a little better, whatever the key, run a 5K, something like that, all achievable goals. But again, when you start talking about this plan with these time checks, like, okay, let's test you. You can run a 15-minute mile and you got to stop a lot. Well, in a month, we're going to check that again. And we need measurable, smaller successes to lead up to the bigger goal.
Yeah.
So we can build in these checkpoints to say, are we on pace? It helps people say, oh, I'm making progress. So small checkpoints are very, very important. I find that a lot of people fight the small checkpoints that don't have a clear vision of the goal.
Mm.
Okay. It's very easy to get caught up in the process, and that is self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Here's our clear plan. I see a lot of people sabotage those little things by going, well, I shopped for a protein shaker for 7 hours and I didn't get a chance to meal prep. It's like you get caught up in the little things on
Yeah.
purpose
Yeah.
to prolong the hard work that it takes to get a goal. A lot of people don't understand I love this phrase, I've heard it for years, is people miss opportunity because opportunity comes dressed in overalls and looks a lot like work.
Yeah.
Opportunity usually means hard work.
Yeah.
For most of us, which we find ways to sabotage ourselves, right? So you have to go back with that person and say, well, why are we doing this? Why are you doing that? What did we start this for? Where do you want to be in this time frame that we had already set? So going back, yeah, it happens a lot. And refocusing, and I think there's some point in that going back a few times where you may have to say, and I'm sure you have, you don't want this goal.
Right. Yeah.
You want the idea of this goal. It
Yeah.
sounds nice.
Right. Back
Right.
to
So
the fantasy.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the wish again. It's like, well, I wish I could drop 20 pounds. Okay, it's going to be hard work. You got to cook food, you got to eat, you got to go to the gym.
Yeah.
Right. So going back a lot of times, yeah, for sure. I mean, you must see it a lot.
Yeah, totally. And because I think what people really want, is more of an emotion, a feeling, an identity. Yeah, they want it, and they think it's wrapped up in the context when, and then, oh, if I get this context, this outward outcome goal, then I'm going to receive that emotional state that I'm looking for. When really, when I work with people, I try to like flip flop that on its head of how do we kind of focus on that emotional piece first, and then it kind of manifests into that outer. But that's not to say to not take action, because it's a both and. It's a working on the internal and taking the action. Because if you're not taking action, then you're not getting anywhere. Like you're saying, then it's a wish. If you can't take the actual action, you're not going to get anywhere.
And day one, client comes and talks to either one of us. We hammer out all that stuff we talked about: goals, wishes, what does it look like? If they start doing the work and taking some action, that idea they had in their head, the feeling they had that day, is going to change to something different.
Yeah.
Hopefully the positive, hopefully momentum. But sometimes the work can turn people off to their goal. They somehow it blocks them, or they let it block their progress. They won't see the progress.
Yeah.
And I have plenty of people I've worked with, some for a year or two, just wouldn't buy in, fought it every step of the way, leave, go do something else, come back, actually follow the advice and get success very quickly. And they're saying, wow, I could have been doing this the whole time. And I'm like, yeah, the plan hasn't changed. The rules haven't changed. You've changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
sometimes people aren't ready,
Yep.
and that's okay. They got to identify. I tell people, I'm like, listen, you're not ready, and that's
Yep.
okay. But just say, I'm not ready. So when I was mentioning, sometimes people this time of year say, well, I don't have the money, I don't have this, I don't have that. Sometimes that's 100% valid. I just can't do this. But a lot of times that's an easy excuse.
Yeah.
You know, so for example, a lot of people tell me, well, I'm going on a weekend trip around Christmas with the family, and I'm just going to blow my whole diet. So what's the point of starting? I'm like, well, you'll be 3 weeks ahead for that blowout, then 3 weeks behind for that blowout. At
Right.
least you're moving forward, and that blowout isn't going to ruin everything. You're already on the road to better.
Totally.
So not waiting for the excuse. I mean, not waiting because it is an excuse is very different than somebody just who's really in touch with themselves and says, I can't commit to anything right now. My life is nuts, but I want to get that conversation started because at some point I want to work with you. Different
Right.
things, different things.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard for us, might be hard for you. It's hard for me sometimes to distinguish, well, is that an excuse or is this person really just can't do that right?
Yeah. And for me, it's usually then looking at, I think, like you said before, about is the goal realistic, right? So it's kind of like if they're in that like not ready place, then it is like, okay, well, what are you ready for? And then figuring out if it makes sense to start whatever that is, like kind of that like small step thing so that we get some momentum going, so kind of finding this happy balance between, yeah, we want the self-awareness, but we don't want the sabotage, coming in
Yeah,
either. So
yeah.
for me, it's like, okay, well, let's keep taking a step back until we hit something that feels doable. And yeah, so I think that's what I usually do when I run into that, so that we're not kind of like giving up. And I'm even thinking about my own journey over the past couple of years, with fitness, with business building, with all my own goals that I've been working on. And I've noticed a lot of movement happening more recently with everything. And yeah, there's definitely a more readiness now than where I was a couple of years ago. um but at the same time, if I didn't keep doing this work the past couple of years, I don't think I would have gotten to where I'm at now, even though I was spinning my wheels. But like, I'm that person that needs to spin my wheels. Like, I have to go through the temper tantrum, and I know you work
Right.
with clients that
Yeah.
are like this, like, like I know I'm a difficult client. Like, I need to like throw a temper tantrum in every single way, shape, and form before I'm sprawled out on the concrete, realizing nobody's going to save me. No one's going to do it for me. And then I finally get my ass up and do what I need
And
to do.
I think that's an important part of goal setting or taking action, period, is that you have to know some of your strengths and weaknesses. You don't need to know them all. I hate the word triggered, but you need to
Yeah.
know what's going to make you stop or what's going to build in an excuse for you.
Yeah.
And that's where coming back to smaller goals within the bigger goal can keep you on track. So I have people that I hate to cook. Okay, commit to cook one meal this week,
Right.
right? Because it's a piece that you need for your
Yep.
nutrition So people can get caught up in the A to Z of it and never
Yeah.
work with A.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Looking at the big picture can be scary, especially when you set a goal and it doesn't really matter what the goal is because it's hard to define what is big for somebody.
Right.
So a little thing that I might think isn't a big goal, like drinking enough water, isn't in my world insurmountable, but for a lot of people, it's super challenging.
Yeah.
So building in little points of success there is important to help them stay on track to their goal. And some people, that wish list to a goal won't see the difference for quite some time in that journey. Just because you talk about it doesn't mean today they understand the difference between a wish and a goal. They're still wishing for that outcome. And you're painting this picture of, okay, but here's the road we got to take to get there. Their wish skipped that road. Now you're trying to walk them down this road of, hey, it's, I'm here, talk to me, put little notes on your mirror to say you can accomplish this, or wake up and say, today's going to be a great day, no matter what, like positive things that you can do for yourself around what sets you off. And sometimes self-motivation, like no one's coming to save you. You mentioned that, which is humongous.
Yeah.
Because I think people often think a therapist can fix their problems with a pill or a sentence.
Yep.
Or a coach can just say, hey, if you eat chicken, you'll magically look amazing. And they boil it down to very simple things. And if those simple things don't change them, it's discouraging to the point that they're not sure they can do the goal anymore.
Right.
So a lot of goal setting from my perspective comes along with trying to reshape that goal or repaint the picture.
Yep.
And sometimes it's tough love, because sometimes there's no other way to say it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's, your mom got sick, your son doesn't talk to you, your husband is being a jerk, etc. Okay, life sucks. Let's focus on one thing we can control today.
Yeah.
Goal setting. So I think you probably see a lot. You must see way more than I do, but I do see a lot of that.
Yeah, totally. And it's helped, with the shift from therapist to coaching, whereas more so in that therapist department, it's like, okay, I'm going to sit with you, through this shit, and we're not going to really work on anything. Whereas now, there's still always more of a forward movement, even if I'm supporting people emotionally through what's going on. Like if you're feeling really overwhelmed by your goals, that's something that I work on a lot with my clients, is the overwhelm. Then I do stuff like bringing in a lot more fun, lightness, and things like that. And like, okay, we need to get you in a better state, right? And then do the cooking, like you're saying. So I hate cooking. I don't want to cook, blah, blah, blah. Like that's a big resistance. There's some sort of meaning making going around there. There's something deeper going in if somebody's like, I don't want to cook, and they're so resistant to fucking cooking. And you know what I mean? Like it just doesn't make sense. So it's like, okay, well, what do you want to do? Do you like to listen to music? Do you like to go dancing? Do you like to go do that? Get yourself in a good mood, put some music on, then start cooking. Then see what happens, So I do a lot of that so that the goals become more enjoyable and more sustainable. Because if you feel like it's an authority coming down on you, you're gonna rebel. And that's my personality. I rebel against authority. So I've had to figure out all these backdoor ways to do it, so it doesn't feel like an authority coming down and saying, this is how you have to be.
Right.
And but
pushback is interesting because it's always something. Usually it's some different reason for everybody. Is I don't like my dad, whatever trauma, whatever bag they're carrying. And it creeps into lots of parts of their lives, and the I can't do that start coming out.
That's a good one.
Which is a big goal blocker.
Yeah.
I need you to go to the gym 5 times. I can't do that. I've got a job. I've got Girl Scouts with my daughter. I got this, I get that. I go, I know, but your goal requires a certain amount of this, that, and the other thing, and that's the math to get there. So let's work on how we can get there. Let's work on how do we structure our day? Where can we cut 10 minutes or whatever the case is? The I can't start to sneak in, and I don't even know if people understand that it's really stopping. They're stopping themselves.
Yeah, you don't see it until you grow past it. And I don't know if you notice this, for yourself too. It's just like this. And it's like every time I'm like, damn it, I did it again to myself, but I'm committed to the path. So I know I'll keep getting over it, even if I can't see it.
So from your perspective, when somebody's I can't see to death and they're in their own way, they don't know it. You're trying to help them see it. They don't see it. Is there a go-to, all right, is it a refocus? Is it a let me lighten this up? Is it all that? How do you get them to go, hey, listen, we got to redefine here and kind of understand why you do the I Or do you even not even mention the don't, the I can't?
I don't think I use that wording, and that might help, but like, so I guess I'm trying to even think of myself, right? Like, so, okay, so like, so I know I told you I started this accountability group. One of my goals is 100 grams of protein a day, which I know is still even not enough, but it's better than what I've been at, right? And before, that was a big resistance for me. I can't, I can't get 100 grams of protein in. I don't want to. How am I supposed to do that? I don't have time for, all of the excuses, right? So, and now that I'm doing it, I can see my excuses even more clearly from before. But like how I got there is, I guess, like knowing that I would eventually get there too. So even knowing like a few months ago, I'd tell Josh, I'm like, I'm just not ready. Or like you're saying, like that awareness, like I'm not ready to prioritize this because I'm stressed out about other things. Like 100 grams of protein is the last thing I want to be thinking about right now because I'm too stressed out. But there does need to be some, I guess this is where compassion comes in, right? Like self-compassion. You're human. You're still a good person. You're still
Right.
showing up for yourself. Like, really looking at what you already are doing, loving your, so it's like I'm kind of rambling, but I'm trying to like think through the
Oh, I
concept.
think
This is a good one.
building on what they're doing positive.
Yeah, so it's really looking at what you are doing, bringing in the love, bringing in the compassion, because then it feels like you're kind of growing into the goal,
Right.
right? Versus if
Or
you shame
forward.
yourself, if you put
Yeah.
yourself down, if you're like, well, this doesn't look like you're gonna be, this is not for you, so maybe you shouldn't be working with a personal trainer. Maybe, like if you go
Yeah.
that route, you're gonna feel so defeated. You risk going into despair, you risk going into depression, like it's not a place that we want to be. So I guess the short answer to that is actually a lot of self-compassion is what I bring in when I feel that people are at the I can't space.
I think that's super important, that you got to give yourself some grace.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a goal. It's not your, it's
The
not,
end of the world.
yeah. And goals are good to have. They help life, for a lot of people, have a little different meaning, success, accomplishment. I'm focused on something other than the boredom of paying bills and things like that. Like, I think goals play a very critical role in mental health
Yep.
and physical health, obviously.
Yep.
The two meet there, very different for a lot of people. And some people it's more mental, less physical, and flip flop, and some, different combinations of that recipe. So cutting yourself a break. I see a lot of people, women more often than guys,
Totally.
really don't cut themselves a break.
Yep.
They can go to the gym 6 times, eat all their food every day, drink all their water, whatever their, recipe is they're working on, and have a piece of cheesecake one night, and they'll carry that for a month. They're just, it hurts, I blew it, I stink, I'm not good enough. All the self-talk, it really goes to a bad place. So I do spend a good portion of my time trying to give people some grace, that like, listen, it's not that big a deal. Like, even my bodybuilders, I'll tell them, I'm like, listen, you're standing on stage in your underwear. It's not that serious. It's like, if you boil it down, it's like you're doing all these things that are making you healthy. You're physically changing, your mental state's changing. You're doing all these positive things for a 5 minutes on stage goal. So the goal is just a teeny weeny piece to what you did to get there. But
Yeah.
everybody sees that goal as the giant banana, the big, and I'm like, but that's not the benefit of all this work we did to get to the goal. The benefit is the work.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And I know that sounds so cliche, but it's true and it
People
is what
like
it
that.
is.
People
But
like that. They don't think they like the work until you get them to the goal, and then they look. It's like anything, you look back and go, that wasn't so bad.
Right.
I'm proud
Yeah.
of myself. I stuck it out. I did it.
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to get small wins to get to the big win. And the big win is really an important target.
Hmm.
Goals and targets, right? Like it's a target. I want to do that thing. What if you get there
Right.
and it's raining and you're doing a marathon and it's snowing and it's in your mind, you got this 65-degree beautiful day and you get there and it's a hurricane.
Right.
You know, the whole day changes. You're mentally fighting. I can't believe that I'm not going to be able to blah, blah, the negative talk. So hopefully
Yeah.
the journey to the goal, the target, makes you strong enough to handle what comes on that day, which is part of the journey, I think.
Yeah. And so it's like we want it to be hard,
Yeah.
right? Because if it's not, then we don't actually learn and we don't actually grow. I really like Alan Watts, you know, kind of talks about this. He basically goes through this whole scenario that if you were told you could go to bed tonight and dream any dream, you eventually dream the life that you're living now. Because first it starts out the dream, I have millions of dollars and I have all the love that I want, right? It all starts like with the fantasy, right? But then that becomes boring. So we put in challenges and more challenges and more challenges, and basically to the point that you're living your life. And then like Ram Dass talks about, suffering is grace, because we grow through our attachments and our suffering. But I won't go down those roads. But when you were talking, I wrote down control, enough-ness, and security. So we're usually looking to feel enough, which is to actually feel loved. So that's something I always keep in my mind, in the back of my mind, is everyone is all anyone actually wants is to be loved and to love. And I know, again, that sounds so cliche, but there's always some sort of connection that when our goals become overwhelming and big, like you're saying, you're just up on stage in your underwear, it's not that big of a deal. But if it becomes big, it's because we have somehow connected that outward goal to mean our enoughness and our ability to be loved. And if we are loved, that means we're safe, right? So it becomes a actual safety thing. Yeah. So by keeping that aware, that's what grounds me. And that's why I think I said earlier that I can't do that. I end up going back to the compassion, because what it means is I'm too focused on the external, and I think love exists out here and not here. And the only way to get to the goal is to actually see that the love is here. I am loved. I am love. And then we again kind of grow back out. So it's basically, we've like lost the way, like you're saying, we're fixated on the outcome instead of the journey itself. So it's really just like a constant coming back to self. So I know that's a little like,
I think it's critical though, because I think the mental state, if that's the right terms, where your head's at, what you believe about yourself, what you believe about the world, how you perceive things,
yep,
it's reality, how you perceive things, right? So it's your reality.
yeah,
I think I should talk more with my clients in the beginning about, have you ever done any kind of work on yourself? Like, have you ever done therapy? What books do you read? I
yeah,
don't do that a lot. I think that's important, especially talking this through, because that's, like you said, that's the real work. It's like, if you're happy with you, not a lot can bother you. There's not
right,
much you can't handle, right? Like,
right, yep,
so I think the shiny object is, that defines me, you
yeah,
know, and the work gets skipped. The real work gets overlooked. They
yeah,
may be doing it,
right,
but the learning, the message from their work is just associated to that external. Again, it's not applied to them like, what, shit, look what I've done. Look what I
yeah,
can do. I didn't know I could do all this. And it's short-lived. A lot of times I see people hit a goal and within a few months later, they forgot what they were
right,
capable of.
yeah,
And sometimes people that I've worked with will go away for years, travel, move, whatever, and come back to a goal. And it's like I'm grabbing them for the first time going, we've done this. You totally can do it. Well, I'm older now. I'm, this, that, and the other thing, which is all true, but doesn't change your what you are and who you are.
Yes.
Those are just things.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the internal work is as important to keep yourself motivated, and I'll talk about motivation as goals too, but
That's a good topic. Yeah.
accountable and grace. You got to have those things going on for yourself before the words of a coach can help you.
Yep.
Because you can't hear me.
Yep.
It's like I'm talking to the wall. But so if we get back to motivation, motivation's overrated.
Yes.
Doesn't really exist that often.
Yep.
But you hear all these statistics. Well, life is 10% happiness, 90% struggle, and all these types of things. It doesn't really make a difference.
Right.
What matters is your perception of how do you handle all these obstacles in your way or not. And everyone says, well, I can just find the motivation. I'm like, that it's going to come and go like the flu.
Yeah. Yeah.
I forget it for 3 years and all of a sudden it's around for 3 months. Discipline wins out every single time because now you've said, I'm going to the gym. I don't want to. That's okay. Hate it. Hate that you're going, but go.
Yeah.
Build the habits. The discipline will get you to motivation faster than motivation shows up on its own.
Yep.
I'm going to write that down. That's good.
Yeah. Actually, I've heard that. Yeah. Yeah. I think, and I've heard, discipline basically over motivation, So how do you, so I'm curious because I feel like, I think this is, you probably talk more about this than I do. Like, so when someone's not motivated, right, and they need to just be disciplined, like, and they're like, I don't wanna. What do you say? What do you usually say, clients?
I usually start somewhere like, well, did something happen today? What's got you down, or what's got you thinking this way? See if we can identify if something triggered them.
Yeah.
I hate that word, but
No, yeah.
And then I'll gravitate to, well, why did we start this journey to begin with? What was the reason you wanted to get to this goal?
Yeah.
Try to maybe have to redefine that a bit, but remind them that good days, bad days, they're okay.
Yeah.
We're doing this for you, and you're doing this for yourself.
Yeah.
Then I build in small wins. So if somebody's really, I have people that hate the gym. It might be overweight, and they're like, I don't want people to see me. I don't want to go. And I might say, okay, tomorrow, all you've got to do is drive to the gym, sit in the car for 5 minutes, and drive away. I need you closer to your goal.
Yeah, I like that.
Let's get closer.
Yeah.
You don't have to go in, you have to do nothing. Just text me when you're there, text me when you leave, and it's a win.
Yep.
Okay? And then we build on that to try to get small, meaningful, but also meaningful to that person's goal.
Yep.
I never ever had a hard time self-motivating or self-pushing myself. If I had a goal, like when I raced triathlons and Ironmans, I knew what I had to do and I did it. There's days I didn't want to, but this is the part of the recipe for the cake. And the cake's not going to taste good if I skip these recipes, ingredients.
Yeah.
I was okay with that. The older I get, though, it gets tougher.
Yeah.
It does. So I'm starting to see more of what more people probably experience.
We're going through. Yeah. So what do you think? Is it because of like the values and priorities changing?
I think a lot of people think they can't. They just,
okay.
It's back to the, I can't do that. It's like, why can't you do that?
Yeah.
When you ask someone why they can't do that, they never really answer it.
Right.
They give you a bunch of things like, well, I don't have the money. It's like, okay, but you probably could get it. We probably could get you the money.
Right. Yeah. Especially if you wanted it, because we always seem to afford what we actually really do want.
A latte is $8 a day, but the latte,
right.
whichever. So it's usually a roadblocker. The big red cone, I call it. They put the big red cone in front of I can't go down there. There's a red cone there. And the red cone is I don't have the money. The red cone is I don't have the time. The red cone is I'm just tired. Or whatever it is, which are all legitimate things in life. But back to motivation, discipline, and why are we doing this to begin with? Your goal is to get on stage and look good. My goal is to make you healthy and happy.
Right.
And that's just a tool for me to get you healthier.
Yeah. And I think that's good too. Like you saying that, because I say to my clients too, like, you know, when they're fighting me on something, I'm like, you can do it that way. Go ahead. But you hired me because you don't want to be anxious. You don't want to be stressed out. So I'm not going to condone doing it this way because you're going to be stressed the fuck out. So you're welcome to do it that way. You
Right.
will get it done, but that's not why you hired me. So that's not what I'm going to encourage you to do. You get to decide. I'm giving you this option because I know this option will still get you to where you want to be, but
Right.
in a healthier way. And I think it is important, like as coaches, for us to be like grounded in what we want for our clients, because I think it also just really holds them in an emotional way that feels safe, if that makes sense.
Well, I think it's kind of paternal.
Yes, yeah.
Right? So we give them an environment of parentalness. You know, they look to you for answers and things like you would a parent, I guess. You would know more about that than me, but that's certainly what I think.
Yeah.
It's interesting because people, you know, when they start doing those types of things, where do we take it? Is it the tough love time? Like you're saying, like, listen, you could do this. So again, back to bodybuilders. And bodybuilders are a very small group of what I do.
Yes.
Average people's 98% of what I do.
Right.
But the rules are the same. The principles are the same.
Yep.
And when they're cheating on their diet or they're drinking, whatever, and I say, listen, I'm here to educate you and tell you, you hired me. Here's the plan. You can go drink every single night if you want to. I'm not getting on stage in my underwear.
Right.
Use the same. I'm like, your goal is to get on stage in your underwear. Not that serious. But do you want to do it your best, or do you want to do it self-sabotaging yourself, and then you get there and you know the outcome's going to be bad? Are you trying to make it bad so you don't have to face this challenge?
Gosh, I thought of something, because yeah, it's like this. Oh, do your clients not tell you things because they yeah
I have clients
I
telling
run into that
themselves,
too. Yeah,
they
like,
tell
oh, I don't
themselves
want to tell
Stacey.
Stacey, she's gonna tell, because they know what we're gonna say. So then you run into that where your clients aren't sharing everything because they know they're not following the plan and doing what they need to.
In my world, they flat out lie sometimes, and they'll
Yeah.
tell on themselves on their own Facebook. Did you drink this week? No, nothing. I was to a T, coach. Ate it all, drank the water to a T. And then they're at a party with, you know, drinks in their hand, and I'm like, that's not even an A, let alone a T. We didn't get the B yet. Like, and by the way, it doesn't change the fact you drank those drinks and it did something to your body that's not helping us to get someplace. You know, Karen Plato's on here. She's one of my clients who's done bodybuilding stuff, and as a physical coach that looks at the body and I know when you're lying.
Yeah, I can see it.
Like, you should be down 3 pounds, you're up 5. Something. But a lot of times they tell on themselves, and I think self-sabotage. So back to realistic goals for myself.
Yeah.
If you're a person that doesn't love meal prepping and eating certain things and drinking the water and love being in the gym, don't be a bodybuilder because your friend and you think you look better than your friend. I get a lot of that. Like this isn't for you.
Right.
Well, I'm not going to not drink. Then you're not a bodybuilder. You're someone who wishes they were.
Right.
Goal wished. Sometimes you got to own it. Sometimes you got to say to yourself, man, I don't have the discipline for that.
Yeah.
You know, I want to run a marathon, but I only run once a week. It's going to be pretty tough. Maybe, is it realistic? You know, I want to be a millionaire in 6 months. It's small chance. Could have been one, maybe, possibly. Someone's done it. But is it realistic with your kids, your life, you know, like sometimes boiling it down.
Yeah.
So you can see it, like mapping it out, writing it down, doing some exercises that help you see what am I actually talking about.
Yeah.
And if you're a person that wants a goal and you know you just need someone to help you, you're a coach for a candidate, or you're a
Right.
candidate for a coach. Sorry.
Right.
You're
Coachable.
coachable. Like that's
Yeah.
another important thing for goal setting. I think there's a lot of, like, I can set myself a goal and do it. I have that kind of inner physical willpower.
Yeah.
When it comes to a sport or a physical activity, if I want it, no problem setting the goal and doing it. If it's a business goal, much more challenging for me. I have to build in myself a little check. I'll procrastinate because there's lots of pieces to business I don't like or enjoy.
Right. Right.
So I have to build myself, like today I'm doing these two things. I got to get these two things done. And anything on top of that's great. Like I know my weaknesses. I got to build those in.
Yeah.
Right? So sometimes you got to look at yourself and go, what am I good at? What am I not good at? And where do I need to help? And that is mean I'm got to be coachable, which means this person's going to tell me stuff I don't want to hear today. So going back to parental, yeah, we give you the love and the support and the safe space and stuff, but we're also going to go, you need to do your homework.
Right.
And I think I get pushback from clients that like the safe space and the rah-rah. But when I say, you're screwing up, they don't like that. All of a sudden as a coach, all of a sudden you're rigid. I've heard that word.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm not going to drag you to your goal.
Yep.
I will hold your hand the whole way, but I'm not pulling you to your goal. That's not what a coach does.
Right.
Maybe a best friend can do that for you, but they're not going to tell you the truth all the time.
Right.
Maybe. So I think as coaches, we have a tough challenge in that we have to identify the real reason for this goal. We have to see the things we've talked about before the person can see it.
Right. Yeah.
Do I think they can do this?
Yeah.
If not, what can I help you with to be able to do this?
Yeah.
And my end, it's a lot of physical, a lot of food, nutrition, with some mental help.
Right.
Yours is very mind spirited based.
Yeah.
With, hey, you know what might help you working out too. So we have both ends of it, right?
Yeah, which I really love. And I think they're both extremely necessary, which is why, I love sitting down and talking with you. And I share a lot about my own, journey in the gym and having a personal trainer and doing all these things because they are so interconnected. And I really feel like I don't think you can truly have one without the other,
I think you can feel better, a little bit better with one, but there's a ceiling.
Right.
And it's low. If you want the true
thing that you actually want, and that's what you actually want. Like when people
you may
are
not
coming
even
to
know
me,
you want it, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
I want to feel better. I want to be happy.
Yeah.
I want to love me. I want, all that stuff. And some of it comes, well, I got to look better to love me. I don't like the way I look in shorts. Okay, but why do you care? And then you get into the mental side of it. And then when you lift weights, the hormones and you feel good and the dopamine and all these things start to work together.
Exactly.
When you start to see positive changes, it's hard to not be more positive.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
They do go hand in hand, very much so. And you can have a mental breakthrough and be, wow, I didn't know that about myself. That's amazing. Okay, now I can avoid that problem in the future.
Yeah.
Because I see it coming now. I didn't know it even existed. Now I can see it coming. I can work around it, which keeps me going to the gym so my muscles are happy. And I'm, so it's very interconnected.
Totally.
I don't know if a lot of people realize when they come to see me, they expect me to fix them. Like I've got a magic thing, certain combination of chicken and rice can fix me.
Mm-hmm.
I just lose 5 pounds, or whatever. And a lot of times goals are short term. I want to look better for this wedding in 6 weeks. I got a vacation in 2 months. And I'm like, those are small goals, but let's apply that to a bigger goal. Why not feel good all year instead of just on that day?
Yeah.
How do we keep that going? You know what I mean? So I think I really like doing this with you because I think, and I hope a lot of people watch the replay and listen to goals, things you need to do to try to accomplish them. Some are physical, some are mental. I don't think one goes without the other, like you said. And most of us can't do it all alone.
Yep.
Right? It's very difficult to know enough about yourself to address what truly needs to be addressed. Most people, we all build in fear, insecurities, I can'ts about anything.
Yeah.
There's reasons though, right? Why do those exist? Why do you build hurdles where there aren't any? You know, you can solve some of those problems, those hurdles start to disappear.
Totally.
And then you just move forward with your desires and goals and, you know, whatever it is that you want to do in life to be happy. But I think they're critical together.
Yeah. So tell us about, you have a program starting Friday, right?
We moved it to Monday because
Okay.
we were just a little late getting their paperwork into me. So we're doing a challenge. It's an 8-week challenge, customized workouts for each person. So
Okay.
wherever you're at, if you don't lift, I got to build you something. If you're a seasoned person, I got to build you something towards your goal. A customized meal plan.
Oh, wow.
You know, so whatever your height, age, and weight, activity level, foods you like and don't like, I got to make you that plan. Put you in the Thrive group, which is my private training group, where there's recipes and videos on things and places to talk to other people. We'll be doing things like this. But it's funny because going back to a lot of people saying, I don't have the money, or it's Christmas, I don't have the money laying around. Part of that challenge is the top 3 people will either get all their money back or portions of their money back. And
Oh, that's right. I remember watching your video. Yeah.
Voted on by the people in the group. So you have to post your first photo and your last photo and your weight to see the difference in weight plus your body changes. You can't vote for yourself. So everybody votes and goes, oh, Stacey's the winner. Well, Stacey gets all her money back.
Yeah.
The next 2 pieces. But enough people have talked about a lot of challenges out there are very short-lived, couple weeks, 30 days. They're usually very inexpensive because everyone gets the same exact thing. Here's everyone's doing this workout.
Right. I like that it's customized. I didn't realize I was going to be like that. So that's
which is a lot of work.
A lot of work for you. Like, yeah. So I like, this is a great deal. So yeah.
But I'm thinking of letting people do a version where I just give them their macros. So I just say, okay, you need this much protein, carbs, fats, and calories, and they all get the same workout. So it's for people that just don't have the money for the customized version, but they can still get involved and get started.
Or don't feel ready, like we're talking about earlier.
So you can't win your money back because it's going to be much cheaper. And I've done challenges in the past where everyone ate the same thing, guys and girls, and just tweak the calories and stuff a little bit, and you'll drop 5 to 10 pounds, and it's a springboard, but you can't last there forever. So it's a good place. So I think I'll probably add that to it tonight, and we'll see where it goes. But Christmas is tough, but it's also a great time to get started because you're going to blow it for that week and you're going to blow it on New Year's, but you have those other days of success, so the damage is less. Most people would say, let me cause all this damage.
Right. And then you got more to get through. Yeah. It makes it harder.
Now you're way behind instead of taking some action and just getting going. Right.
And then the way I look at it too is if you can make progress during the most difficult time of the year to make progress, then shit, like you're going to be coming out of this program feeling on top of the world. If I can do that, I can do anything, you know? So again, it's like building those goals where you feel more and more capable, and building confidence. And that's huge. So, I'll get this up on YouTube and get you the link, and then you can, throw this in the group and
awesome.
All your places. But it was really informative. I knew it would be. I always enjoy talking to you, Bill.
Yeah, me too. It's good stuff for sure.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you. And
thanks for having me on.
Let's do it again sometime. Okay.
All right. I love it. Thanks, Stacey.
Yeah. All right. I'll see ya.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.